ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್?
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, ನೀವು ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್?
ಗುಡ್. ತುಂಬಾ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಸರ್ ತಾವು ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು. ತುಂಬಾ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಫುಲ್
ನೀವ್
ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಸರ್?
ಗ್ರೇಟ್ಫುಲ್ ಟು ಯು ಸರ್. ಒಂದ್ 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಸರ್, ಹುಡುಗರು ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಆಯ್ತು, ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ.
ನಮ್ಮ ಕಲೀಗು ಸಿದ್ದೇಗೌಡರು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಮೈಂಡ್.
ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್, ಆಯ್ತು.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್.
ಓ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸರ್.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸರ್.
ನಾನು ಸಿದ್ದೇಗೌಡರು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಸರ್. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್?
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ತಾವು ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್?
ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್. ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇ, ಇಂದಿನ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸರ್ ಅವರು ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ವಿಷಯದ ಮೇಲೆ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನು ನೀಡಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸರ್ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಕಿರುನೋಟ. ಸರ್, ತಮ್ಮ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸರ್ ಅವರು ಮೈಸೂರು ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾನಿಲಯದಿಂದ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಶಾಸ್ತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ನಾತಕೋತ್ತರ ಪದವಿಯನ್ನು ಪಡೆದಿದ್ದು, ಪುಣೆ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾನಿಲಯದಿಂದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರೇಟ್ ಪದವಿಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಪಡೆದಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಸರ್ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಾಣಿಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ 6 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಬೋಧನಾ ಅನುಭವವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದು 43 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಸಂಶೋಧನಾ ಅನುಭವವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಸರ್ ಅವರು ಶತಮಾನದಷ್ಟು ಹಳೆಯದಾದ ಜೀವ ವರ್ಗೀಕರಣ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಮುಖ್ಯಸ್ಥರಾಗಿ ಭಾರತದ ಜಿಯೋಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಸರ್ವೆ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾಗಿ ನಿವೃತ್ತರಾಗಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಜಿಯೋಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಸರ್ವೆ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಾಣಿಶಾಸ್ತ್ರದ ಕೆಲವು ದಾಖಲೆಗಳ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸೇರಿದ ಅನುಭವವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದು, ಸರ್ವೆ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಭಾರತೀಯ ವಸ್ತು ಸಂಗ್ರಹಾಲಯದ ಸ್ಮರಣಿಕೆಗಳು, ಭಾರತದೊಂದಿನ ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಮತ್ತು ರಾಜ್ಯ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳ ಸರಣಿಯ ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಭಾಗಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸರ್ ಅವರು ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ 424 ಹೊಸ ಜಾತಿಯ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳ ದಾಖಲೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸೇರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಹಾಗೂ 84 ಹೊಸ ದಾಖಲೆಗಳು ಅಂಡಮಾನ್ ಸಮುದ್ರದಿಂದ ಮೀನುಗಳು, ಅಂಡಮಾನ್ ಮತ್ತು ನಿಕೋಬಾರ್ ದ್ವೀಪಗಳಿಂದ 154 ಹವಳಗಳ ಹೊಸ ದಾಖಲೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಬರೆದಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸರ್ ಅವರು 4 ದಶಕಗಳ ಸಂಶೋಧನಾ ವೃತ್ತಿ ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಅವಧಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರ ಕೊಡುಗೆ 48 ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದು, 98 ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಸಂಪಾದಿಸಲಾಗಿದ್ದು ಮತ್ತು ಲೇಖಕ 176 ವೈಜ್ಞಾನಿಕ ಪ್ರಕಟಣೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಒಳಗೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ವಿವಿಧ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳಲ್ಲಿ 49 ಅಧ್ಯಾಯಗಳು ಸೇರಿದಂತೆ ಅವರ 6 PhD ಸಂಶೋಧನಾ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶಕರಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ವಿವಿಧ ಸಚಿವಾಲಯಗಳಿಂದ ಸಂಶೋಧನಾ ಯೋಜನೆಗಳ ಮೌಲ್ಯಮಾಪನಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿಸಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೂ ಅಖಿಲ ಭಾರತ ದೇಶದ ವಿವಿಧ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾನಿಲಯಗಳ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಜೀವ ವರ್ಗೀಕರಣದ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆ ಜನಪ್ರಿಯಗೊಳಿಸಲು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಾನಮಿ ಸಂಯೋಜಕರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸರ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆಸ್ಕರ್ ಜಾನಕಿ ಅಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನೀಡಿ ಗೌರವಿಸಲಾಯಿತು. ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಓವರ್ ಟು ಯು ಸರ್. ಹಲೋ. ಓವರ್ ಟು ಯು ಸರ್. ಹಲೋ.
ಸರ್,
ಓವರ್ ಟು ಯು ಸರ್. ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್. ಶುರು
ಮಾಡ್ಲಾ?
ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಗುಡ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ನೂನ್ ಟು ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು. Highly grateful to Karnataka Science and Technology Academy for giving me an opportunity to speak on a subject, faunal biodiversity. In addition to that one, in addition to what is known as the faunal biodiversity, that means the animal biodiversity, I will also, in the course of my lecture, speak on the plant diversity also. And that is the reason why my first slide, as it is there, is on biodiversity. If you closely look at the slide, there is only one earth, and we need to protect them. How you protect, what you protect, where you protect is all left to you. I will speak from this angle on biodiversity, how we protect our earth in terms of biodiversity. So this is my topic of today's discussion. Now, the first thing that we need to understand, who coined the term biodiversity? The term biodiversity was coined by W.G. Rosen way back in 1985 in the National Forum of Biological Diversity in the National Research Council at the United States of America. But its usefulness has gained, or the term biodiversity gets its prominence by one of the greatest sociobiologists by name E.O. Wilson, who coined again used the term biodiversity way back in 1988. So this is the beginning of the word biodiversity. But we had used faunal diversity, floral diversity, microdiversity. Faunal diversity means animal diversity, floral diversity means plant diversity, and the microdiversity means microbial diversity. So these are the terms that we have used from times immemorial. But the word biodiversity has its origin way back in 1985, but usually implemented from 1988. This is the starting point of the word biodiversity. Now, you should also understand, we use the word sometimes biological diversity, sometimes we use biodiversity, both means the same. Whether you use biological diversity or biodiversity, it means the same. It is a biodiversity is a contraction of the two words, biological and diversity. So this is a combination of biological diversity, that means biodiversity. We can use any word you like, whether you biodiversity or biological diversity. So this is how it has happened. Now the question really arises, what is biodiversity? I say animal diversity, we say plant biodiversity. So what is biodiversity? It has been coined way back in 1985. But what is that biodiversity? It is the variety of life. That is life in different varieties, variety of life. It is also known as the diversity of life. So this, we are using two words now, variety of life and the diversity of life. And most important thing is within and among the living system. So this is the definition of a biodiversity, variety of life, diversity of life, within and among the living system. I will explain to you at a later stage what exactly this red word within and among the living system. It is also defined as the variability of life in different forms, variability of life in different levels, variability of life in different combinations. So this is also another definition. So you are getting a bit confused. What exactly shall we use for the definition? So in simple definition is known as biodiversity is known as the variety of genes, the variety of species, and the variety of habitats and the ecosystem. So the simple definition, if you want to say, if you want to write what exactly biodiversity is, variety of genes, variety of species, and the variety of ecosystems, habitat and ecosystems. This is the simple definition of biodiversity. So this is the most important. You should understand, wherein biodiversity includes genes, biodiversity includes species, biodiversity includes ecosystems and their habitats, the plants and animal habitat. So this is what you can say, define at what level. So we define the biodiversity at three levels. At the genetic level, we call it as genetic diversity. Species level, we call it as the species diversity, or an ecosystem level or ecosystem diversity. So biodiversity is defined at three levels: genetic diversity, species diversity, and the ecosystem diversity. Please remember, these are the three levels of biodiversity which we define. Or in 1992, there was a convention known as Convention of Biological Diversity held at Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, where they defined biodiversity is the total variety of life on Earth. Biodiversity is, these are the three levels. Please remember, genetic diversity, species diversity, and the ecosystem diversity are the three levels of biological diversity. But definition of a biodiversity is the total variety of life on Earth. It includes, please remember, variety of life on Earth. It includes all genes, all species, and all ecosystem. It comes to the same level. So ecological process, which are a part, that is what is exactly the definition of a biological diversity or biodiversity. So when this was coined, biological diversity or biodiversity, the word biological diversity or biodiversity come into the existence, it was way back in 1992, on 5th June of 1992, there was a conference. The conference was held at Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. This is usually known as Earth Summit. Earth Summit. So in 1992 June 5th, there was a meeting of all the world leaders. And how many people participated? How many countries participated? 150 countries participated in that way back in 1992. All of them came together and said biological diversity or the biodiversity is a very important aspect of it. And this biological diversity convention, what is known as the convention or the Earth Convention or the Convention on Biological Diversity, has three important components or three important goals. What they have concluded, they said that one, we are losing a lot of plants and animals and microbes, hence we need to conserve them. So the first goal was conservation of biological diversity. Then from them, whatever you have, plants and animals you have to use it, but you have to use in such a way that you have to leave it to the next generation. You should not consume everything. So what is known as a sustainable use of its components. This was the second goal. Third one was known as the fair and equitable distribution of benefits. So whatever benefits you get from plants and animals, you have to share among ourselves. Otherwise, the entire world will be lost. So this is what is known as the Convention of Biological Diversity. Please remember, Convention of Biological Diversity was held in 1992 on June 5th at Rio de Janeiro. It is known as the Earth Summit, wherein 150 countries participated and set a goal. What is that goal? One is known as we have to conserve plants and animals. That is known as the conservation of biological diversity. And we have to use them in a very good manner. That is known as a sustainable manner. So that we have to leave it to some of our offspring, sustainable utilization of its components. And we also have to share whatever benefit we get. That is known as the equitable distribution of benefits. So these are the three important things that was discussed at that particular meeting and convention, and they have come to this conclusion. This is known as the Convention of Biological Diversity. Now, at that time in 1992, 150 countries participated. Now remember, all green patches. Can you see the presentation? In the presentation, the entire thing, world is made up of the green color, except 2, 3, or 4 areas where yellow color is there. So the entire world, now we have 196 countries have approved biological diversity. 196 countries have approved, except 5 countries, and these countries are United States of America. Even today, America has not signed the Convention on Biological Diversity. So they are only observers. So this is how the entire world has agreed, but still America has not agreed for Convention of Biological Diversity. So I will not go into the detail about that one. So let us understand, as on today, 196 countries have approved this Convention on Biological Diversity. So whether India has agreed? Yes, India has agreed on, you see that one, the signed Convention of Biological Diversity, which was held in 5th June 1992, has been ratified. When it was ratified, ratified means agreed. The government of India has agreed we will follow the Convention of Biological Diversity. When it was agreed, 18th February 1994. So when it has came into existence, 1992, but in 18th February, we have agreed. India has agreed for the Convention of Biological Diversity. So this is how, and there are various other things also. Don't worry about it. We'll take up at a later stage. Now, I said we define biological diversity at a three level. One is known as the genes, second one is known as the species, and the third one is known as the ecosystem. So, what is this diversity of genes, or what is this genetic diversity? All of you know we have cell. Cell have the nucleus. Nucleus has chromosomes. The chromosomes has got a small chemical compound. This is known as nucleic acid. These nucleic acids are two types, as all of you know. One is known as the deoxyribonucleic acid or the DNA. The other one is the ribonucleic acid, the RNA. So these are known as the genetic material, or the genes are made up of DNA or the RNA, as the case may be. So any variation in the genes, any differences in the genes, any variation in the genes is known as genetic diversity. You see, all of you know that one, the genes are made up of some chemicals, adenine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil, like that. So if there is any change in the sequences, they give a different type of a protein. So that is why it is known as the genetic diversity. Any change in the structure of a DNA is known as the genetic diversity. Now, what does this DNA does? DNA gives instruction to the messenger RNA, and this messenger RNA prepares the protein. So everything is made up of protein. So the protein is prepared on the information present in the DNA through the RNA, messenger RNA. So this is how the gene action takes place. So you should understand the DNA is the genetic material, and the functional aspect of it is the protein, and this protein is mainly coming from the DNA instruction. Gene action takes into account and result in the protein. What is the protein made up of? The proteins are made up of amino acids. As all of you know, proteins are made up of amino acids. Two amino acids join together and form a bond. And this bond is known as a peptide bond. If two amino acids joins together and form one bond, that is known as a monopeptide. If three amino acids join together and form two bonds, that is known as a dipeptide. If three or four joins and form three bonds, then it is known as tripeptide. Like that one, monopeptide, dipeptide, tripeptide, quadra, and multi, many. So are known as a polypeptide. So a protein is made up of a polypeptide chain of amino acid. So this comes from the instruction in the DNA. So that is how the variation takes place. So the DNA gives the instruction to form different type of a protein. That is known as the genetic diversity. So you should also know there are two types of variations, genetic variation. One within the population and between the population. The second one is the between the population. So one within the population is known as the intra-population variation, and between the population is known as interpopulation variation. I will come to it at a later stage. So there are two types of genetic variation. One is within one species, that is known as the intra-populational variation, or between the species, it is known as the interpopulation variation. So this is how the genetic variation takes place within the body. Now look, let's go to one particular example. Right in the center, there is a poultry or the chicken. That is the original one that was originated in India, especially in Madhya Pradesh and area, central Indian parts. That is known as the Gallus. Gallus, that is a species. And from this species, you can see about 21 different varieties. Can you see the different varieties? Nearly about 21 different varieties. These are known as the breeds. Breeds are nothing but the variation in the genes. So this is an example of a genetic variation. This is an very good example of a genetic variation wherein we have a population, one population, namely the old one, the wild one. From the wild one, you are having what we call it as the entire population of different breeds. This is one example of a genetic variation. Look at this one. This is Raphanus Mulangi. You see the variation. So a small change in the gene structure will give you a different type of a situation. This is what is again called as a genetic variation. These are some of the examples of genetic variation. Now look at the different type of a people. See here, the protein content itself is different. So the face itself is different. This is one of the examples wherein the genes have acted. Genes have given expression, gene expression. Gene phenotypic expression, we call it as a phenotypic expression, or a gene expression gives different type of a people throughout the world. So they are all one species, Homo sapiens, but there are different color, different size, different structure like that one. So this is another example for the genetic variation. Look at this one. The eye color is mainly based upon a eye lens protein. Eye lens protein. So here you can see the different type of proteins. Different type of formation of the eyes is mainly because of the proteins are different. So the genetic modification or the genetic combinations gives you different type of a protein. These are some of the examples of genetic variation or genetic diversity. I said one, biological diversity is defined by the genes, species, and the ecosystem. Here are what I have told you just now are the variations in the genes or the genetic variations. Now we will stop at this stage for the genes. I'll go to the next one. You can also adjust. There is one more example. We have faced in 2019 a pandemic, the pandemic wherein thousands and millions of people have died. That is the coronavirus. You see the variation of the coronavirus. This is again a genetic expression, the gene expression. We have COVID-1, COVID-2, COVID-3, COVID-4. So these are the different type of the genes that has changed. The original gene has changed. So these are some of the expressions of the genetic variations and the examples of the genetic variation. This is a part of the biodiversity. So biodiversity includes genes, species, and the ecosystem. So these what exactly now I have told you are the variation in the genes. Now I'll go to the second part. Species variation or species diversity. That is the number of variations found in different species. Now I'll go back. Next one, you look at this. Now, if you go to Kolhapur, near Kolhapur, we have got a Western Ghat. What we did is we studied the plant ratio there. The plants, we have studied the plant in a plot of 10 meters by 10 meters. A square we have taken. We have studied how many plants are there and we have studied their flowers. Look, all are different type of a species and different flowers. So these different flowers or the expression, the gene expression, of course, the different species. So this is known as the species diversity. So species are different here. Now I'll give you, this is the plant example. I'll give you another example from an animal. If you go to our Kaveri River, you know the Kaveri River is known for fishes. There are 54 different type of fishes. Only one type of a fishes, namely the Puntius. Look at that one. Puntius is the generic name, gene's name. You know, Linnaeus has coined the term known as the binomial nomenclature, wherein every plant and animal has two names. The first name known as the genetic name. The second one is known as the species name. Now you look at all the fishes here, or even look at the next one also. All genes or generic names are same. Puntius, but different type of a species. So this is what we call as the species diversity. So different expression, different species from the same genera is what is known as the species diversity. Now, you may ask me a question. What is the number of species that are present in the world? Somebody said 2,50,000. Someone said 3,20,000. Somebody even 3,83,000, 83,671 species of plants are there. This is what they have estimated. This is how the number is not exact number, slightly variation depending upon. We know that one. We have nearly about 4,22,000 species of plants known. 4,22,000 species of plants are known in the world. Please remember what the number I am giving you. 4,22,000 species are known is from the world scenario. So how many species on the earth means the plant species nearly about 4,22,000 species. Now how about India? Now in India we have 55,048 species. How many species of plants are there in the India? 55,048 species. ಪ್ರಭೇದಗಳು 55,048 species. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ from that one angiosperms, flower bearing plants. ಅದೆಷ್ಟಿದೆ? It has got nearly about 21,984. Out of 55,000, the flowering plants are 21,984 as on today. This is the number of plants that are present in the India. The two flowering plants, angiosperms. Gymnosperms, it is not much, 76 or 78 only. What about fungi? Nearly 15,602. So this is how the number of plants in the country, we have highest number of angiosperm flowering plants. Out of 21,984, nearly about 22,000 species of angiosperms or the flowering plants, we use nearly about 10,000 species of plants as a medicinal plants. As on today, out of this 21,984, we use nearly about 10,000 is used in different formulations. 90% of your medicine is from this plant, angiosperms. So 90% of this plant are derived, or that is what is not the medicine is derived from the angiosperms. So this is the scenario. This is an importance of the plants kingdom. So what your take home is, the number of species of plants is nearly about 55,048. Among them, the flowering plants are nearly about 22,000, 21,984 to be exact, or 22,000 is almost, you can say that one. And how about the fungi? The fungi is about 15,602. So this is the major groups of the plant that are present in India. How about the animals? The animal diversity, look at this one. The number of species that has been described, the total number of species described is about 15,52,319. That means in 2011. Now about 16 lakh species of animals are described as on today, known. 16 lakhs animals are known. Among them, please remember, you see, 10,20,007 species of insects only. That means to say about 60%, 60 to 65% of the entire animal kingdom is made up of insects. The major group of the animals are the insects. So a major group. So this is the situation in the world. If this is the situation, how about India? Now look at this one. We have nearly about 66,741. 66,741. What is the total number of species in India? 1,03,284. 1,03,284 species of animals are there. Out of 3,264, you can imagine 66,741. That means to 65 point something, or you can say 66% of the animals are insects only. How about birds? Nearly about 1,350. How about reptiles? Nearly about 700. How about amphibia? 443. How about fishes? 1,320. How about mammals? 432. So these are the number of animals that are present. So your take home should be the number of animals in India is 1,03,284. This is the latest figure that I am giving you on the last week, that we have compiled in the last week. So this is the latest figure throughout. Wherever you go, you get only this figure, nowhere else. This is the latest figure, 1,03,284. Among them, insects constitute about 66%, 66,741. So this is the scenario in India. This is the animal biodiversity. So I have said about the plant biodiversity, I have said about the animal biodiversity. Now, in addition to that one, we have many number of plants, rather animals, which are used and commercialized. These are one of the indigenous breeds, domesticated animals. We call them as domestic animals. What are those domesticated animals? We have cattle, different type of a cattle. 51 different type of a cattle. We call them as a breed. 51 different breeds of cattle. 19 different varieties of buffalo. 34 different varieties or breeds of goat. 44 breeds of sheep. Get this one, about 21 breeds of poultry. So these are the different type of a breed that are animals in present in India itself. I'll tell you why this is very important. Please remember, 21 different type of a cattle, 19 buffalo, or a goat, and then about 21 different breeds of poultry are most important. Now look at this one. We have become the number one in the world regarding the dairy product, the milk and milk product. So India has become, because of these breeds, we have to save these breeds. So because of the breeds, India has become the highest producer of the dairy and dairy product. Indian milk output has nearly reached about several millions and billions of rupees now. So you can imagine this is the situation in India. Now, how about poultry? You see, again, look at the poultry. We have 21 different types of a poultry. We call it the breeds. Look at them. We have nearly about 1,98,000 billion rupees of eggs are produced. The second highest in the world. Eggs. The second, India today is one of the world's largest producer of the eggs and the broiler meat. You can look at this one, how these animals are very important. Similarly, the plants are also equally important. So I am telling you about the animals. So this is the importance of the plants and the animals. Now look, this is the milk chart. Look at the milk chart. You see, 2017, 176.4 million. Now nearly about 90,000 at that 2018. 2022, we have nearly about 196 million tons of milk production. Milk production. Milk and milk business is nearly about 100,000 crore rupees. So you can imagine how much we have the use from this one, use value of the species. So this is one of the important aspects of the species diversity. Then the third important thing, what I said was the ecosystem. You may ask me a question, what is an ecosystem? Ecosystem is nothing but an interaction between the plants, the animals, and the non-living organisms, non-living things. So an interaction between the plants, animals, and the physical environment is what is known as a different type of an ecosystem or ecosystem. The definition of an ecosystem is interaction of plants, animals with the non-living things or the physical environment is known as an ecosystem. And they have many important things from this ecosystem factors. I will tell you at a later stage. Look at this one. What is the different type of an ecosystem we have? In your studies, you have studied about different type of forest. We call it the forest ecosystem. We have seen different types of the marine environment, the marine ecosystem. We have freshwater, different type of freshwater rivers, lakes, ponds, like that one. Freshwater ecosystem. We have different type of grasslands, grassland ecosystem. We have, if you go to Rajasthan, we have a desert ecosystem. If you go to Himalayan or the Western Ghat, we have got the mountain ecosystem. If you go to coastal area and water area, we have got the wetland ecosystem. If you go to the coastal area, again we have got mangrove ecosystem. If you go to coastal area, again you have estuaries and backwaters. The estuaries are most important dynamic ecosystem because the fresh water meets the sea. The fresh water, the river meets the sea is known as the estuarine ecosystem. It is the most dynamic ecosystem. So you name any ecosystem in India. You name, you want marine ecosystem, we have got east and west coast. We want mangroves, we have got east and west coast mangroves. We have got wetland, different type of wetlands. We have got deserts, not in Rajasthan. We have got mountains, we have got grasslands, we have got forest, different type of forest. So you name any ecosystem in the world, we have, India has got. So this is another important aspect as far as the India is concerned. The India has got all different type of an ecosystem. What does this ecosystem? It gives some services. There are three types of services. The first service is known as the provision. The second service is known as the regulating. The third is known as the cultural ecosystem. I will come to it with my next slide. You see, provision, regulation, cultural, and helping, supporting ecosystem. These are the services that ecosystem gives. What is the provision ecosystem? If just example, it gives you food. Ecosystem gives you food, feed, fiber. Our clothes we wear is made up of fibers. We are getting from the ecosystem. Fuel, pharmaceuticals, and many other things. So these are the functions of an ecosystem. It gives you what is known as the food, feed, fiber, soil. These are the benefits of an ecosystem. Now, they also help. Ecosystem helps. How? It helps in controlling the flood, controlling the food, controlling the fresh water, controlling the fuel, wood, fiber. That is known as the provision. They regulate. What is that? The regulation of the ecosystem? It regulates climate. It regulates flood. It regulates diseases. It regulates water regulation. I will give you the examples at a later stage. So at this stage, you understand ecosystem helps. Ecosystem helps in three different forms. One is known as the provision, which gives you food major. Second one is the regulation, regulates the climate, flood, diseases, water regulation, and the cultural services. For example, if you go to Ranganthittu area, you see a large number of birds there. So it gives you some sort of a consolation to your mind. So that is one of the cultural services that they give. So these are some of the services that they give, ecosystem that services they give. How about India? Look at the India. It has got different climate, different vegetation, different temperatures, different rainfall. So we have got a different varieties in India, mainly India. You look at this one, the second one, it has also been divided into different eco-diversity areas. We have Trans-Himalayas, we have got Himalayan region, we have got desert in the Rajasthan, we have got semi-arid regions in the Madhya Pradesh, we have got Western Ghats in Karnataka, Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, we have got Deccan Peninsula, the entire area is known as the Deccan Peninsula, we have got Northeast India, that is the 8 sister states, we have got islands, that is Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep, we have got east and west coast. So this is known as the biotic zones. So India is made up of 10 biotic zones. How many? 10. India is made up of 10 biotic zones. Himalaya, Trans-Himalaya, Himalaya, desert, semi-desert or semi-arid, Western Ghats, Deccan Peninsula, Gangetic Plain, Ganges Plain, Northeast India, islands, and the coast. These are the 10 different type of zones we have got. These are known the biotic zones. And that is the reason we call India as a mega biodiversity country. Now, please remember, India is known as there are 17 such countries, and India is one among them. All these, can you see the green color? These are known as the mega biodiversity countries. Athava Vishala Vaividya Deshagalu. What is this Vishala Vaividya Deshagalu? What is this mega biodiversity countries where the plant diversity is highest? We have got nearly about 55,000 species of plants. Animal diversity is also highest. We have got nearly 1,03,000 animals. We have got different type of ecosystem. We have got different type of ecosystem. And such a country which has got highest plant diversity, highest animal diversity, even the microbes also, microbial diversity is also highest. And also ecosystem diversity is also highest. Such a country is known as the mega biodiversity country. Nearly about 200 countries are there. Out of these 200 countries, only 17 are important. Out of these 17, India is one among them. So India is one among the 17 mega biodiversity countries in the world. Again, I will repeat, what is mega biodiversity? Mega biodiversity is nothing but the number of species are more in terms of plants and animals, or highest number of plant diversity, highest number of animal diversity, highest number of microbial diversity, highest number of the ecosystem diversity, and the geological diversity is also highest. Such a country is known as mega biodiversity country or Vishala Vaividya Desha. India is one among them. Hope you have understood what is mega biodiversity countries in the world. Now, look this presentation. There are some countries in your left side, see Papua New Guinea, Nigeria, Cameroon, where the cultural diversity is highest. We call them highest cultural diversity. There are some countries like Colombia, China, Peru, Malaysia, Ecuador, and Madagascar, where the number of plants, animals are more. Their only biological diversity is highest. The left side, we have only cultural diversity highest. Right in between, just like Indonesia, India, Australia, Mexico, Zaire, and Brazil. These are the countries where they have got highest cultural diversity as well as biological diversity. So these are the unique countries where the diversity of plants and animals are also more. At the same time, cultural diversity is more. What exactly this cultural diversity is? Look, we have got a constitution, and this constitution gives guarantee for 22 languages. If you look your own 10 rupees or 100 rupees note, there are different type of languages they have used it. Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, like that one. 22 different type of languages has been given guarantee by the constitution. If you look at that one, we have nearly about 121 languages we speak in India. We speak about in different languages. And how many? As many as 121 languages. And mother tongues, look, 19,500 mother tongue. So different mother tongue. So this does not have a lipi, so that's why they have a different mother tongue. So 19,500. So such a country nowhere in the world except these countries like India is one among them. So India is cultural diversity, we have got biological diversity, we have got both in India. Now, what is the use of this biodiversity? I am speaking on biodiversity, which is important. What is the use of this biodiversity? I said about 1,03,000 plant animals and 55,000 plants. What is the use of this biological diversity? That's what we call the value of the biological diversity. What is the value of the biological diversity? I'll give you 3 examples. Look at this one. This is the, can anybody guess? This is the barley. Normally we use barley for reducing our temperature. ಉಷ್ಣ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಒಳಗೆ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಇದ್ದವರು ಬಾರ್ಲಿ ವಾಟರ್ ಕುಡೀರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಉಷ್ಣ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದೆ, you drink barley water. But if you go to America and the European countries, most of the barley they use it for alcohol preparation. Why whiskey and wine? Not wine, whiskey and other type of alcohol they produce. So this is used for whiskey and alcohol in United States as well as European countries. One example I'm giving you. I'll come to what exactly the use of it. Now, this is most of you know. This is the tomato. From the tomato, you use various types of things like ketchup and various. You can see this one. You serve with the people with different type of combinations. So from the tomato, you make various combinations, and this is the second one example that I am giving you. The third example is the common one wherever you go. This is known as the Catharanthus roseus, Madagascar periwinkle. You can see it along the roads, along the houses and many places. You can see this one. So I have given 3 examples. One is the barley. Second one is what is known as the tomato. The third one is the Catharanthus roseus or Vinca rosea antanu ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Vinca rosea or Catharanthus roseus is the latest name and belongs to a family known as Apocynaceae. And these are 3 examples that I have given. What exactly the use of this one? No, the first one, that's the barley. The barley is affected by a disease from a virus, and this disease known as the yellow dwarf disease. And because of this yellow dwarf disease, America used to lose quite a huge amount of money, as much as nearly about 160 million US dollars. What I am telling you is about 5 to 8 years old figure, maybe more now. So they were losing such a huge amount of money because of the virus disease, yellow dwarf virus. What they did was, they went to the South America. There was one wild variety of barley. They analyzed the genes present in them, and that was resistant to yellow dwarf disease. What they did was, they brought that gene, put into the gene of the American barley, and they cultivated. Thus, they saved to the extent of 160 million rupees in 1 year. So this is how the value of one gene. You can imagine one gene has saved to the extent of 160 million years per year. This is the one. The second example I told you about the tomato. Different type of tomato are there. The tomato, if you keep the tomato on the table, it will remain fresh for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Maximum within 1 week or more, so they shrinkle and spoil. This entire period from the time of plucking to the spoiling is known as a shelf life period. Shelf life. And this is nearly about 1 week or 10 days. What they did was, these Americans itself, I am giving an example of American, they went to Peru, they brought a wild variety of plant, tomato plant. They analyzed the genes there. They took out a gene from that plant, wild variety, incorporated into this one biotechnological tools. And as a result of it, the shelf life of that particular one, tomato, has increased. Instead of spoiling within 10 days, it went on up to 20 days, it was fresh. So thereby they could able to sell quite a lot, save a lot of money, and to 1 year they saved to the extent of $8 million. So this is the one value of, you just imagine the value of one gene, one wild variety of a gene from the tomato plant has saved to the extent of 8 million rupees, $8 million for American tomato processing industry. Similarly, I told you about a flower that is known as the periwinkle or Madagascar periwinkle. And from that one, they have got different chemicals are there inside, what we call it the alkaloids. As many as 60 alkaloids are there, different type of chemicals are there. They analyzed it, they found it. 60 different alkaloids. And one of the alkaloids they found was used to cure the cancer. The drug was derived from that plant, and they prepared a cancer curing drug wherein they got nearly about 160 million worth of sales each year. So you can imagine how important is a gene, how important is a species. This is only from the three examples. We have got nearly about 1 lakh animals, nearly about 55,000 plants. So you can imagine what is the importance of a biodiversity. So this is some the value of a biodiversity is. Now, I will take you back. I will take you back again to millions and billions of years old. Now, what was the situation of the biodiversity in the past? Now we'll start with the age of the earth. Hope all of you know that one. Earth was in a molten state. About 4.6 billion years ago, it was in a molten state. Then it started solidifying it. Then it became hot, became cold. Slowly, slowly, it took millions and billions of years and became a cold. And the present day Earth is as old as 4.6 billion years. So then, as a result of cooling, they form rocks, they form sand, they form soil, and various things are formed. So this is the age of the earth. Now, if this is the age of the earth, then when the life form originated, you have to understand when the life originated. So the earth was a molten state, then it has solidified. At that particular period, there was no life on the earth. What was there? There was only water vapor. There was only methane, CH4, methane was there. There was only ammonia, ammonium compounds, or hydrogen. These are only the four chemical composition present at that particular period, 4.6 billion years ago. Then it started cooling. When once this cooled, they formed all this water vapor, methane, ammonia, and hydrogen. They form protein. So you know the chemical composition of a protein. So they all these help in the formation of protein. From the protein, then they went into the next stage. They form DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and ribonucleic acid. There are various theories whether DNA originated first or the RNA originated first. So there are various confusions and theories are also there. So let us not take up that aspect of it. So let us understand at particular time there was all these chemicals formed protein. From the protein, nucleic acid formed. From the nucleus formed the origin of life. When once the nucleic is formed, then they originated the life. Life originated. So at that particular time, the life originated. Then the evolution started. So you have prokaryotes like the bacteria and viruses. From the bacteria and viruses, you have the protozoans. From the protozoans, algae, fungi, bryophyte, pteridophyte, and the angiosperms in plant kingdom, or protozoa, porifera, insect, arthropoda, that is insects, and present day man. So all these started evolving, evolution. You also know there are various theories of evolution: the Darwin theory of evolution, the Lamarck theory of evolution, Hugo de Vries theory of evolution. There are various theories of evolutions are there, or the various recently Dobzhansky has also said about the theory of evolution in a different way. Micro mutations, he said one. So various theories of evolution. So the present day situation is because of the evolutionary sequences. And these evolutionary sequences has taken place, you see, from the 5.64 million years ago to the present one, you have got various time period. These time periods are what we call the geological time period. During the geological time period, the plants evolved from the small microorganism to the present day plants, flowering plants, from the microorganism animals to the present day man, all evolved during the various geological period. So between 4.6 billion till today, various evolutionary theories have taken place, and they resulted in the present day diversity of plants and the diversity of animals. So let us not go into this one. So I want to tell you something about very important thing. When once the earth formed, the earth was just like a round solid mass, and this solid mass was started migrating, is made up of different parts. They started migrating. As early as 1912, one scientist by name Alfred Wegener has said that the entire continent was one at one time, and this continent is known as a supercontinent. This supercontinent is also known as Pangea. So this supercontinent was one, or there was the one Pangea, then started the topmost part, the uppermost crust, started bifurcating and moving in different directions. So thus the crust started moving in different directions. This he said there is a continental drift theory. Nobody believed till recently. He said in way back in 1912, the 250 million years ago, all the continents were combined into a single continent known as the supercontinent. They are known the Pangea. And the present, we have got different, the America, South America, Europe, Australia, Antarctica, Arctic, like that one. So these are the different type of Earth started moving in different directions. So this is known the continental drift theory. Nobody agreed for it, and now we know that there is a continental drift theory. Let's look at this the left one. Look at this left one. You see, look at the South America fitting exactly with the Africa. Look at Antarctica and India fitting with Africa. This is how it was there about 4.5 million years ago. Then started migrating. Now the present day situation is entirely different. You can see this one. This is how you can see this one, Africa with the South Africa, South America. You can see the North America here. You can see the India, and India was once attached with the Antarctica. It was attached with the Africa, then started migrating. See, this is how the India started migrating from South Africa, moved north and northeast, then started collision. Asia Minor. It started collision with Asia Minor. So there is a continental drift theory. The continents started moving and striking together, resulting in the formation of the Himalayan mountains. When India started migrating to the north and hit the north, what is known as the Eurasian or uh, Europe, Europe, then we have the what is known as the mountain. The mountain, the youngest chain of mountain is the Himalayan mountain, recently formed because of the continental to continent collision. Continent to collision, there was a mountain, and this mountain is the Himalayan mountains. You can see this Himalayan mountain here. So because of the two continents joined together. So first they joined in the eastern side, then started migrating and joined at the western side. The first one is the northeast India is first, then started toward the west. So this is the the satellite imaginary, how the two continents merged together with the formation of the Himalayan mountains. So the two continents. So this has about 45 million years ago started migrating. It was once attached with the South Africa and Antarctica, then started coming out. Then it was attached with the Madagascar. Then detached from the Madagascar, it was attached with Seychelles. From the Seychelles, the present day. Once the India was inside an ocean, and that ocean is what we call the Tethys Sea. So it was inside the Tethys Sea, then migrated and struck the Asia Minor and formed the latest, that is known as the Himalayan mountains. This is how the Himalayan mountains have formed. At that time, there was a glaciation also. So I will not go into the detail about the glaciation. So from the 4.6 billion years ago till the recently, various plants and animals evolved. You know that one evolution took place. Various plants and animals evolved. But in the meanwhile, some of the plants died. Some of the animals died. Not one or two animals, a large mass extinction. So how many extinctions have taken place? Now nearly about 5 extinctions have taken place. One in the Ordovician, Devonian, Permian. For example, in the Devonian period, most of the 50% of the fishes died. You know, during the Jurassic period, most of the dinosaurs died. So there was lot of animals and plants died. is what we called as mass extinction. How many mass extinction as on today? 5 mass extinctions already completed. We are in the threshold of the 6th extinction. We are in the threshold of the 6th extinction. Look at this one. Between one extinction to other extinction, there was a large number of years. There is the 400 million years ago. So there are, but now the rate of extinction, it took a long time to lose animals and plants. Whereas now recently, it has what is known as the extinction rate has increased. The extinction rate has increased. Look at this one, millions and millions ago, the rate of extinctions has increased. The rate of extinctions has increased. So how many extinctions throughout the geological period? 5 extinctions. What is the present one? The 6th extinction. The 6th extinction, the period is very small compared to the other extinctions. So the rate of extinctions has increased. So we are in the 6th mass extinction. So earlier you see trilobite fishes, and then these are the what is known the dinosaurs. So many of these have died in different period. So there are 5 extinctions have already gone. 6th extinction is taking place. So why 6th extinction? There is a crisis now. We have a crisis. This is what we call the biodiversity crisis. So sixth extinction is faster. Sixth extinction is faster mainly because of the crisis. What is that crisis? We have habitat loss. Because the plants and animals cannot live in that particular habitat, we call it as habitat loss. Is one of the reasons for the crisis. Second one is the invasive species coming from the other part of the world, from the other countries, that creating a havoc. For example, you know lantana. Lantana is not an Indian one. Or Eichhornia in the water is Eichhornia is there. Eichhornia was brought as an ornamental plant from South Africa. Now it has spread almost all the waters. So invasive species. Then the third example is known as the over exploitation. That means we are using more than what is required. That is known as the over exploitation. The fourth one is the pollution. The pollution is creating a havoc. So, and the last one is the climate change. So all these are responsible for the 6th extinction. Faster 6th extinction is mainly because of the habitat loss, mainly because of the invasive species, mainly because of the over exploitation, mainly because of the pollution, mainly because of the climate change. So these are the important aspects that is responsible for the entire. Now I will give you a very good small example about how the habitat loss. You imagine that the left side, there's a left side, the blue color one, the big forest. The forest is reduced. This is one of the examples of a habitat loss. You imagine the same forest was there. This forest has divided into 2 or 3 parts. This is again another habitat fragmentation. So these are one of the changes that has taken place in the habitat. Because of the changes in the habitat, the plants and animals cannot survive. So this is one of the reasons for the biodiversity crisis, habitat loss. This is a simple word. Now I said about many of you have seen this one. Many of you have seen this mollusk. This is from the South America, South Africa. It has come. Lesser Catania fulica. African giant snail. You can see this African giant snail everywhere nowadays. Only 2 examples were brought from South Africa. Now it has spread throughout India and destroying all our plants. It eats the tender part of the plant. So it is destroying. So it is known as the invasive species. Now other one is Oreochromis mozambica, or it is also known as a tilapia. Tilapia. This tilapia is one which is a voracious eater. So it eats whatever present. So it destroys all the plants and animals. Similarly, there is another fish known as the pterigoplectus. This also eats everything that is available there. So these are the plants not belonging to India, but that has come from outside the country and created a havoc. So this is an important, these are some of the examples of invasive species. The invasive species coming from the other parts of the world and destroying our ecosystem. So this is the one. The third important aspect of this is the exploitation. We normally use every plants and animals, but if you use beyond its capacity, it is what we call the over exploitation. So in the 87% of the world is called fisheries are now exploited more than what is required. So as a result of it, the fishes are coming down. The number of fishes are coming down. The number of fish catch is coming down because there is more number of fish catch or over exploitation. This is what has happened to the over exploitation. So look at this one, pollution. Because of the pollution, you can see in some of the lakes, rivers, many fishes are dying. Many fishes are dying. Mass death because entirely polluted. The water is polluted, highly polluted. Look at this fish. This fellow is holding so many fishes in his hand. So many fishes are dying. Is mainly because of the fish. Mainly because of the pollution. So lakes and rivers are polluted, and because of this one, the animals are dying, the plants are dying. So this is another example where the biodiversity crisis is there. The another last one is also known as the. You look at the examples, and I will come to the at a later stage. Look, if you take 1970 as 100, the number of plants and animals in the land, terrestrial species are coming down. Number of plants and animals in open ocean, marine species coming down. Look at the freshwater species, freshwater plants and animals coming down. So there is the abundance of the population is declining over the years due to the various factors. So the number of populations are declining. Now, if you take the number of criteria, also red list criteria, so I'll tell you this: what is red list criteria? See, number of plants and animals becoming extinct in the wild. Some of them have become critically endangered. Some of them have become endangered. Some of them have become vulnerable. Okay, leave this near threatened, least concerned, data different, not evaluated. These are IUCN categories. Don't worry about it. See, the number over the years, these three, critically endangered, endangered, and vulnerable. These three are increasing, or what is known as the threatened categories of plants and animals are increasing. So we are having more number of threatened plants and threatened animals. Extinct in the wild. So we have very less examples of well extinct in the wild. We can, as all of you know, this month or next month, some of the cheetahs are coming from South Africa. So because we have lost a cheetah. So cheetah was there in India and it was lost in 1951. No more cheetah in India. We have got leopards, but we don't have a cheetah. So cheetah is extinct in India. We are reintroducing in India. So extinct, very few numbers, and not many. Javan rhinoceros was one in the northeast India. That is no more there. And there was one more bird was there. That was so very few examples in animals. There are many in plants. So these are the extinction rate has also increased in recent years. So that is the categories have increased. Now, if you look at this one, the amphibians, the rate of extinction of amphibians are more 40%. Why? The pressure. Most of the amphibians never live in amphibians never live in marine conditions. Oceans they don't live at all. They live in freshwater. Now all freshwaters are highly polluted, and because of pollution, the highest number of what is known as threatened category of amphibians or extinction amphibians or decrease in the number of amphibian species is more in freshwater. Similarly, mammals are also increasing, killing. Conifers in the northern birds are also 14. Freshwater fishes coming down. You see 3%. Coral reefs. Hope you know that when we have India has got 4 coral reefs. One is the Andaman and Nicobar Island coral reefs, and second one is Gulf of Mannar. Third one is Gulf of Kutch, and the fourth one is what is known as Lakshadweep. The entire Lakshadweep is made up from corals. The corals are responsible for that island. The coral reefs are there. It is also reducing. So this is how they threatened with extinction. There is another factor also. Large number of killings wild caught. You look at this figure. 13 crore, 35 lakhs, yeah, 133 crores, 56 lakhs, and 588. This is the number of animals that has been caught illegally. Where is maybe a amphibia, it may be a reptilia, or even the butterflies have been, or the corals. These are, you can see this one is also responsible for the extinction rate. Rate of extinction has increased mainly because of wildlife trade. So these are some of the important. Next, even if you look at the ecosystem, 15 out of 24 15 out of 24 ecosystems services are in the declining stage. You can see the red lines, all these are in the declining stage. So ecosystem services are also reducing. So this is how the extinction has taken place. The last one, biodiversity crisis, I said about the climate change. The climate change is also very responsible for the change in the species of plants and animals. You should understand between the climate and the weather. What we see outside is the weather. What we see after a long period of about 20 years or 30 years or 50 years is the climate change. So climate change is always calculated over the years, maybe 50 years or 100 years, not day-to-day changes. Day-to-day changes are known as the weather pattern, whereas the long-term averages of the weather pattern leads into the climate change. So this is, and you should understand between the climate and the weather. That is the most important. What is this one? See, there was the World Congress in Health. Never, nobody liked it. Europe, you see, look, there was a Trump was there. He was boycotted because of the climate change. He wanted to come and speak on this occasion, so he was not allowed even because they are the highly polluters. So what happens? Look, climate change. Now you should understand what is a climate. You should understand what is the climate. The climate consists of temperature. It consists of precipitation. Precipitation means rainfall. It consists of the solar energy, light intensity, and also the amount of water vapor, humidity. So a climate is the variations that we find in temperature, precipitation, light intensity, and humidity. Now, how it affects, how it is related to plants and animals? Look, see, temperature. Temperature depends upon the latitude and altitude. For example, as you go higher and higher in a mountain, it becomes cooler and cooler. So, altitude. If you go to latitude, for example, if you go to the northern latitude, if you go to what is known as Norway, Sweden, that area, the temperature comes down. So latitude and altitude is responsible for temperature. In the tropical countries, temperature is quite high. Similarly, rainfall is also precipitation means rainfall. Rainfall also depends upon the water vapor and the sunlight. Then rain shadow area. For example, if you look at our own Western Ghats, one side receives very high rainfall, the other side receives less rainfall, rain shadow area. So this is again precipitation is having different shades, rain shadow area, and the slope is also important, and the right direction of the light intensity is also important. These are some of the important aspects of it. Plants and animal distribution depends upon. Now, what is the climate change? The climate change is mainly made up of the models that has been done over the years. Look, way back in 1975, for climate change, they took only one climate factor, that is atmosphere. Whereas in 1985, they took atmosphere and land surface. Whereas in 1992, in addition to the atmosphere and land surface, they took ocean and sea. And then 1987, look at this one. Now we have got atmosphere, land surface, ocean and sea, sulfate aerosol, non-sulfate aerosol, carbon cycle, atmospheric chemistry, and these are all some of the things that we take and form a model. And this model is responsible for to understand what exactly the climate change is. So climate change has to be just not simple thing. They have to take everything into consideration: atmosphere, land surface, ocean and sea surface, aerosols that are present, and non-sulfate aerosols, carbon cycle, everything they take, and then only we have a model, and this model gives you the climate change. Not simply they cannot do anything. So most of the important change in the climate is because of the gases. These gases are known as greenhouse gases. What are these greenhouse gases? There are the methane, nitrous oxide, the water vapor, and carbon dioxide. So these are some of the important things responsible for a change in our climate. So the greenhouse gases has increased recently, and because of these greenhouse gases, we have changed. The entire climate has changed. This is the graph. Look at this carbon dioxide. Look at 1850. You can see the curve here. Now, what exactly 210 or 2020? Now it is increasing. The global carbon dioxide load is increasing. Look at this one. From the consumption of the liquid fuel, from the consumption of the solid fuel, from the consumption of the gas fuels, look at this one. Everywhere there's an increase that produces the carbon dioxide load. So increase in the carbon dioxide load has resulted in the change, and this change is known as the climate change. Now, temperature. Look at this average temperature. You see, 1880, they have taken as a standard. From you can see this one. there is a change in the temperature. Global temperatures are increased. Please remember, what is the amount of change that has taken place over the years? You see, 1880 to 2000, nearly about 120 years. What is the change? Only 0.6 degrees, 0.5 degrees, slightly more than 0.5 degrees centigrade has increased. And we are experiencing so much of change. If it increases to 1 degree centigrade, if it increases to 2 degrees centigrade, if it increases to 4 degrees centigrade, you can imagine what exactly the situation. So this 120 years of change has resulted only in the climate change. Temperature has increased only by 0.4 degrees, 0.5 degrees or slightly more than 0.5 degrees. If it increases to 1 degree or 2 degrees, we cannot imagine the change that is going to happen in the earth. So this is the scenario about the temperature, sea surface temperature also. So this impact the forest, even once there is a change, it impacts the forest, it impacts the animals and plant biodiversity, it impacts the agriculture, it impacts the coastlines. So you know that the prediction that on most of the areas in the West Bengal and some of the Bombay area or some of the eastern coast is going to submerge because of the temperature increase. And if it increases into 1.8 to 4 degrees centigrade, most of these are affected. So climate change has got a lot of impact in the entire world scenario. Now, how about India? We have seen sometimes drought, sometimes heavy rainfall in Rajasthan. Run of Kutch has increased the sea level rise. Mumbai, salt water has increased. Kerala, productive forest has come down. Tamil Nadu, corals have started becoming white. This is known as the coral bleaching. Ganges, increase in the number of sedimentation. TDS, total dissolved solids. Sedimentation has increased as a big problem. Sundarbans, sea level rise. Northwest India, even today in India, in Karnataka also, you see, normally Western Ghat receives a high raised rainfall, whereas in some of the northern part of the Karnataka receives less. Now you can see highest rainfall in the Bellary, Gulbarga, Raichur area. So this is mainly because of the climate change. So this is how it has happened. So I tell you, so when once there is a sea surface temperature, there will be melting of the ice. As a result of the melting of the ice, these are the red points. These red points, especially the Sundarban area, the West Bengal and the Bangladesh will be first affected than some of this Karachi and Gulf of Kutch area. So some of this you can see also Andhra Pradesh also will be affected. Of course, Karnataka is safe in that way. So you can see the sea level changes will increase these factors. Now, the climate also increases heat. Climate heat waves will increase. You can see in 2003, 35,000 deaths in Europe alone because of the heat wave. So it increases the temperature, and as a result of it, there will be a lot of problem arises. Health and another problem arises. You can see a large number of people is going to die if there is a climate change. Look, there was a tsunami. You have heard about the tsunami. And this tsunami, you see, entire Car Nicobar, as you can see, there are huge number of what you can say, uh, the schools, colleges, and the people. There was not you cannot see even anything now. This is mainly because of the tsunami. So this is what happens if there is a climate change. You can see this one. What happens in Mumbai? The same thing in Karnataka nowadays. You can see this one also. There will be heavy rainfall in one place, less rainfall in the other place. This is mainly because of climate change. You can see this one. This is what happens after climate change. Now, as far as the animals are concerned, look at this one. The human and the mapping of the human disease vectors. This is an Anopheles mosquito, Aedes mosquito. This Aedes albopictus, which was once in India, started migrating to the most of the Southeast Asia. Now it is known in, it carries dengue, and in eastern Cross River, Rift Valley, and many Nile rivers. These are some of the places where it has started affecting. You can see this tiger mosquito has started invading in all these places. This is one of the examples of the climate change. Now look, the number of deaths of the dengue and chikungunya, malaria in Karnataka itself has increased mainly because of the malaria, and this is also mainly because of the climate change. Now, you look at if you go to a coastal area, the number of small fishes, the pelagic fishes, is more. This doesn't yield any value at all. Economic value is less. The number of fishes are more, but economic value is less. and people will suffer like anything. Economy will be shattered. So this is mainly because sea surface temperature has increased. The sea surface temperature has resulted in the smaller fishes than the bigger ones. Now, in Costa Rica, one we know that one amphibian is known as the golden toad, Bufo peregrinus, have died completely mainly because of climate change. So it has been recorded that one amphibian is completely out from the entire scenario of the earth. This is totally extinct now, is mainly because of the climate has changed. So this is the impact of the climate change. We also notice many glaciers are melting. Many glaciers are melting. So as a result of it, what we need to see, we need to conserve plants and animals. So conservation of plants and animals is the priority of the day. So we need to conserve plants and animals. How do you conserve? So there is a challenge. So biodiversity conservation is a challenge to all of us. So biodiversity conservation is a challenge met in India. We are successful in many cases. For example, if you go back to 1990, the number of lions were very less, about 28. Now the number has increased to 180. So this is a success story of the lion. The lion has increased. Why it has increased? The conservation effort has been increased. There are two types of conservation, as all of you know. One is known as the ex situ conservation, other one is the in situ conservation. I will come to you at a later stage. So look at this one. This is the one-horned rhinoceros. It is present only in Kaziranga and some parts of the Jalpaiguri in West Bengal. So this has increased in recent number. In recent, there are more than 200 wild ones in the Kaziranga and West Bengal. So this has one of the examples how we have increased the number of animals by conservation methods. There is another example that all of you know, tigers. See, way back in 2006, look at this one, 1,411 only, Royal Bengal Tiger, 1,411. By 2010, it increased to 1,700. By 2014, 2,200, 2018, 2,900, now 20, somewhere around 3,000 to 3,100. So this is the scenario how we have improved upon their entire ecosystem. Entire species level conservation has taken place. As a result of it, we have conservation method. Similarly, this is the gharial, Caveat gangeticus. This is not a crocodile. This is present only in the Ganges. That is why it is known as the Gangeticus. Gavialis gangeticus. It's only in Ganges rivers, Ganga. This has increased in large numbers nowadays. Otherwise, it would have been an extinct. So this is one of the example of a success story. This is another one. If you just go to Orissa, even in our own coast, sometimes we come across. This is known as the olive ridleys. Leptochilus olivae. Understand that one. This animal is traveling from a distance of 9,626 kilometers from the coast of the West Indies. From the coast of West Indies, it travels. It has been tied and marking has been done. From where it starts and where it ends, it comes to Orissa to lay the eggs and hatching takes place. So you can imagine it travels to a distance of 9,626. At one time, all these were killed. Now there is a protection given to them, or conservation has been given to them. A large number of the one. The number of vultures also decreased comparatively, but increased in recent years. This is because of the many conservation efforts that has taken place. So, how you conserve? There are two types of conservation. One, conservation at their place itself. That is known as in situ conservation. At their place itself, we conserve ecosystem itself at their places. That is known as in situ conservation. The second one is we take out from the place and put them in a different place and save them. That is known as ex situ conservation. For example, in situ conservation, we have national parks. Bannerghatta National Park is one example. Bandipur National Park is another example. wildlife sanctuaries, bird sanctuaries like that one, reserves, sacred forest and lakes. So these are some of the examples where we save the plants, animals in their own place. That is known as in situ conservation. Some of them we take out. For example, seed is saved. Are taken out and we breed them. That is known as captive breeding. Animal translocation, one place to other place, shifting. Animal translocation, tissue culture, cryopreservation, preservation in nitrogen, liquid nitrogen. Gametes and embryos are preserved. The botanical gardens and zoological gardens are zoos. So these are known as ex situ conservation. So we conserve plants and animals ex situ. These are some of the areas. So if you look India, we have nearly about 100 we are saving. We are saving these plants and animals in 103 national parks, 543 wildlife sanctuaries, 73 conservation reserves, 45 community reserves, 51, actually it is 51 tiger reserves, 32 elephant reserves, 18 bio reserves, it has increased now, 63 zoos. So this is how we conserve the plants and animals in their own places. So at the end of my talk, what I want to conclude is biodiversity is a very important subject. What a biodiversity is? Plants, animals, and microbes, and their genes, and the species, and the place where they live. That is known as the ecosystem. It is known as the biodiversity. It needs to be valued. It has to be conserved, and sometimes we have to restore the area, restoration of the area, and it should be widely used, wisely used. That is known as sustainable utilization, and maintaining the ecosystem services, sustaining the healthy planet, and delivering the benefits essential for all the people. This is the conclusion. And an environmentally sustainable society. If there is an environmentally sustainable society, it satisfies the basic needs of the people without depleting or degrading its natural resource, thereby preventing the current or future generation of humans from meeting their basic needs. So, with this one, I convey my sincere thanks to you all for giving a patient listening, and to Karnataka Science and Technology Academy for giving me an opportunity to speak on what biodiversity with reference to India, and what plants and animal diversity with reference to India, how we make conservation, how we use conservation, and what exactly biological conservation or biodiversity conservation theory is. With this one, I convey my sincere thank you. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, it's a voluminous 43 plus years experience in 45 plus minutes. It will be very difficult to uh, give the information about the biodiversity to all the students and teachers here. But one of the best presentations, sir. Thank you. If any questions from the participants, they can raise their virtual hand or mention in the chat box. Is there any question? Mr. Nishant Kumar, you are unmuted. Please speak if you have any question. I hope I am audible. Yes, Nishant Kumar, you have raised your virtual hand. That is the reason I have unmuted you. If there are no questions, fine then. Sir,
No, sir. No,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
okay, fine,
It's
fine,
audible to me.
fine. So, any other questions from the participant? If there are no questions, we will wind up the session with the formal vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Ramakrishna sir for accepting our invitation and delivering this session on animal biodiversity. Really, best take home message in the conclusion slide. All the participants can take a screenshot or note down this last slide, or you can watch this in YouTube again. if you need. On behalf of KSCA and on behalf of all the participants, thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful presentation on animal biodiversity. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. If any participant, sir, if there is any participant want to convey any questions, they can send it to my email ID, which I have given in my first slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They have, we have some groups in Telegram and WhatsApp, and even they can contact us through email or landline number. If they get any questions, we'll get back to you, sir. And even your 2 to 3 questions, so we'll post them to their WhatsApp group. They will write us and send back. So the
Yes,
answer
yes,
will
sir.
be sending to you, sir. The best answers will
Okay, sir.
be chosen and they will be awarded cash prize.
So thank you so much for your kind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Also, I would like to thank our colleagues who have been helping us in this program, technical team and non-technical team, senior officials and management. Also, our co-colleagues from sister concern organization KSTEPS, and last but not least, all the participants who are joining in this WebEx Cisco platform and YouTube platform also. I would like to thank once again all the participants for your patient listening. And your questions, I think we have posted already. If not, I will post it once again. You can note down and write the answers, and you can scan it and send it duly to our mail ID and group. Okay. Thank you. With this, we will wind up today's session, and I request all of you to join tomorrow and future events also, future sessions also. And I request all of you to give the information about these technical sessions to your teachers or your friends from other colleges or other who are also interested in science related lectures also. With this, we will end up this today's session. Thank you once again, all of you. Thank you, sir.